So anyway, at the Supreme headquarters, we handled all ship movements. We handled ports and water movements. We handled repairs of harbors simply by TWXs.
Yeah.
And I told you how I got the Purple Heart, didn't I? I gave you the Purple Heart, didn't I? Is that right?
No, I don't remember this story.
Yes, I did. I gave you the Purple Heart.
Oh, I've got it. I know where it is, but tell me, I don't know the story. I'm trying to remember
Well,
the story.
I was only a private at the time, and I was in charge of more than I should have been in charge of. And the George Washington, which was a troop ship, had been a cruise ship, was a troop ship, hit a mine in the North Sea. So they sent in a teletype to send a seagoing tug, bring them in because of the damage to their steering mechanism. And I misplaced the request, and this ship sat out there for 2 days before they sent another request. And I got, as they called it, I got ass-chewed. I made a boo-boo. And so the guys down in personnel heard about it and presented me with the with the Purple Heart for my injuries.
Is that right?
Yep, I never made that mistake again. And we were all kids. We were 18, 19, 20-year-old kids.
Yeah.
But after a while, I got promoted. I wound up as a staff sergeant when I came home.
Yeah.
So I must have done some things right.
Yeah.
And the other thing I did, I was cleared to handle top secret documents. And they chose me because I looked fairly honest and had by that time a decent reputation. And when I came home, people told me, "Were you in trouble in Europe? The Secret Service came around checking to see if we knew you, and they didn't go to people that they thought I would know. They went to people near the people they thought I would know to see what kind of a person." Eventually, I passed it, I suppose. So I handled all the top secret documents. We had a real heavy metal safe about that big, and I would go into, the colonel was in charge of the unit, and I'd go into the colonel's secretary, who was a very pretty British girl, and get the key from her and open it up, put the stuff in or take the stuff out, lock it back up, give it back. Because see, as the war toned down, the Americans used a lot of what were known as Allied personnel. They were young girls from France, Belgium, Holland, Britain, who worked for the American troops.
Mm-hmm.
They had uniforms, and they were not paid by the Americans. Their own countries paid them, and then that was Lend-Lease.
Okay, so let me see. We're at the headquarters with our break in the battery action, and what happened?
Well, I worked from the Marine Operations Division.
Oh, okay. No, you were talking about maybe foolish things that you did.
Okay, foolish things I did.
And you've told me the story, but I'd like to get it on tape if I don't already have it on tape. There was a wonderful little clandestine adventure on the way to Paris.
It was in November, and I was due to come
Of
home.
1945.
1945, and I was due to come home. So I decided I haven't seen Paris. I should see Paris. So my buddy Droney, Francis Joseph Aloysius O'Droney, who was my driver and who was from Boston, and was my best buddy, we decided to go to Paris
From Frankfurt.
from Frankfurt. Now, we didn't want to get in any trouble, so we had buddies in personnel typed up a fake pass. We had buddies in the highway department who told us how to get on and off the train, which was known as the Main Seiner, went from the Main River to the Seine River, and how to avoid the MPs on the train, and what to do, just helped us. So we got into Paris, and there was
How long would that take by train?
it was overnight.
Oh, nice.
And there was a major in our unit who was a real nice guy, and he helped us whenever we needed help. And he had been in Paris during the time when they were in Paris. So, you want to get that?
Yeah.
So anyway, we got cigarettes. You could sell cigarettes for a lot of money. You couldn't send it home because we got paid in invasion script, it was called. And whenever you sent some of that home, they would take it off your currency control book. But you could buy cigarettes and things like that.
Currency control book.
We had to have a currency control book.
Okay.
And so we could buy cigarettes from the PX for 70 cents a carton and sell them for $400 or $500 a carton in the country.
Sure.
There's nothing we could buy in Germany. It was useless. But if you could go to Denmark or France or Italy, you could buy lots of nice stuff.
Like?
Well, whatever you wanted. Paris was still.
Now, what did you get?
Paris was a going, I'll tell you, Paris was a going city at that time. City of lights. So he called a friend of his in Paris, who was a civilian, and who worked in the black market, of course. Everybody worked in the black market.
The major, or the...
Major called.
The major called.
So when we got off the train in the Gare de l'Est, which was the east
Right.
train station, a guy came up to me and he said, "Sergeant Echols," and I said, "Mr. so-and-so." We went around the corner. I gave him this package of cigarettes, and he checked a couple and then gave me probably $200 or $300 in French francs. So Dorothy and I had a nice time there. We went up in the Eiffel Tower, we went up and down the Champs-Elysees.
On the boat?
No, just...
Oh, just up and just walking.
Just walking.
Yeah.
We knew we couldn't go to the Leave Hotel, which was known as the Magazine du Fayel, because they would check us and find out that we were not supposed to be there.
Right.
So we walking down Rue de la Washington, we saw a nice hotel, a little small hotel. It was Hotel Washington. Nice American name, so we went in, and that's where we stayed. And we just had a wonderful time. It was in November and it was cold, but we had nice big overcoats and so forth. Came back.
Did you go to any shows or anything?
Yeah, we went to, I think they were just getting started, Moulin Rouge back up. Because see, when the war came along, everything.
Sure.
Yeah, we went to the Moulin Rouge. We went to the Pigalle, which was well known for body kinds of things.
Right.
It was actually Place de la Pigalle, but
Yeah.
all the soldiers called it Pig Alley.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
Pig Alley, okay. And
while we were walking up and down, we were near the WWII, which is the center of the metro system. And so it had a lot of people there, mostly soldiers.
Right.
There was a guy who was a Marine. He came up to us and he says, how long are you going to be here? And we told him. He says, well, I'm being ZI'd tomorrow. Now, ZI was the zone of the interior, which is I'm being sent to the United States.
Which is what?
I'm being sent back to the United States.
Oh, zone of the interior. Oh,
ZI,
okay.
but
Oh.
I'm being ZI'd, so we knew what that meant.
Okay.
And I've got a whole bunch of francs that I can't use. He said, I had a guy wanted to do a blowjob on me, so I gave him a rabbit punch when he was on his knees, and I took his money. And so we took it, and we spent a lot of that up.
How?
Food.
Yeah. What'd you have? Food? What do you mean food? What? Did you go to a nice restaurant somewhere and get some?
No, we went to the cheap ones.
Okay.
We stayed. We didn't want to be too
Right.
visible.
Right.
We were in uniform. Of course, you had to be in uniform. During the war,
Yeah.
you had to always be in uniform, or you would be immediately accused of being a deserter. So, I'm not sure. I think eventually we just gave it away to people when we got back to the train station.
Okay.
But we went back and got back to Frankfurt, and it was all over.
Yeah. Yeah.
3 days of happiness.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. All right.
And
That's
Paris
pretty
was the city of lights. There's no question about that,
good. Yeah.
particularly during the war.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. They still are in the lights and everything. You did the Eiffel Tower. Very nice. So you decided you were going to go back to Paris 30 years later.
Yeah, we did, and I found the Hotel Washington.
Oh, you did?
Oh yeah, I found it. It wasn't hard to find because the Rue Washington ran into the Étoile, which was the Arc de Triomphe.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But it was on this metro, it was known as the Étoile.
Right. Right.
So I got off there and walked down. I said, Maggie, that's where I stayed. And she